Hey, this is Mr. Ward, and I'm going to go ahead and do a video talking about reflections, which are mirror images. Reflections are rigid body transformations. And I'm going to start with a couple of really basic ones, and then I'll deal with a couple of more complex ones in a second video. Okay, so first of all, reflections, the most simple ones are going to be across the y-axis or the x-axis. And so what's going to happen is we're going to have a mirror image of whatever our object is, our pre-image. And if I'm reflecting across the y-axis, what's going to happen is the sign of one part of this point is going to change. Now, it's going to have the same vertical position if I'm crossing the y-axis, but the x value, the x coordinate, is going to change its sign. So it's going to be on the exact opposite side of the y-axis. Same thing will happen with this point. The y value will stay 5, but the x value is going to change its sign. And down here, this y value of -2 is going to keep its sign, but this x value, the x coordinate, is going to change its sign. It's currently 5 to the right of the y-axis, and it's going to be 5 to the left of the x-axis when we reflect it over. And of course, and I'm going to show you this for this one. So let's go ahead and do a reflection across the y-axis. Okay, so reflecting across the y-axis, just change the signs of all of the x coordinates. And the reason for that is we're doing a reflection horizontally. Crossing over the vertical line of the y-axis means you are horizontally reflecting. And so x is the horizontal component of these points. So just have to change. So just change the sign of the x coordinate. Okay, so let's do this. Let me copy my triangle. I'm going to go ahead and make it have lines. I think I have to do this again. Hang on. Okay, give it lines. Oh, it's still in the way. Okay, hang on a second. Again. Okay, so now I can get to my lines. There we go. Okay, so now at this current point, they're in the exact same place, but all I had to do is change the sign of every x value. So 2 becomes -2, 5 becomes -5, -7 becomes +7, and of course I have to finish it up like that. And now I have reflected right across the y-axis. That's all I had to do, change the sign of the x coordinate. Okay, now we're going to go ahead and do a vertical transformation. So we're going to reflect across the x-axis. Okay, and when we reflect across the x-axis, what's going to happen? You may have already guessed it. Think about this for a second. What's going to change sign? If you thought the y value, the y coordinate, would change signs, you're absolutely right. Crossing the x-axis means that all of the y coordinates are going to change sign. The y coordinates will change signs. Okay, so I could reflect this one or reflect this one. I think I will go ahead and reflect this one. I'll actually reflect both of them. I'll reflect my original object, and I'll also reflect my image, okay, just for good measure. Okay. Now to do that, first I'll go ahead and grab my original object, reflect that one. I'm also going to grab my first image. I'll reflect that one as well. So let's go ahead and have to do a little moving around in order to make this work, but here we go. Give it lines. Give this one lines as well. Make sure I gave that one lines. Yes, I did. Okay, so those will have lines. Now what I want them to do, so I want this one to reflect over the y, sorry, let me say that again. I want this to reflect vertically across the x-axis, so the y coordinates will all have to change. So this is my object, my original object, that's this green one, I believe. No, I think it's the blue one. Let me actually turn this off so we can see which one it was. It's the purple one right now. So it's the one that goes like this. That one. Okay, so I'm going to change the y coordinate to -8, -2 to +2, the +5 to -5, and then of course clean it up, put loops around, and there we go. I'll turn this one off so you can see what's going on. So now I've reflected this one across the x-axis. Okay, I'm also going to go ahead and reflect, let's see here, reflect this one. This is my image. I'm going to reflect it across the x-axis. So this sign has to change, the y values sign has to change again. -8 becomes, 8 becomes -8, and -2 becomes +2, 5 becomes -5, and of course, around now, let's turn that on, and you can see we have made a mirror image across the x-axis. And I'll go ahead and turn this one on as well, and this one on as well. And something that's kind of neat about these is this green one and this blue one are reflections across the y-axis. This green one is a reflection of the black one across the x-axis, and the purple one and the blue one are reflections of each other across the x-axis as well. The black one and the purple one are reflections across the y-axis. So we've got multiple reflections going on here. So those are very basic reflections across either the y-axis, in which case you change the sign of x, the x values, or across the x-axis, in which case you change the sign of the, across the x-axis, we change the signs of the y values, okay? Because above and below, positive and negative y, to the right and to the left, positive and negative x. All right, I'm going to go ahead and stop this video, and I'm going to make another one, and we're going to consider reflections across lines that are not the x and y axis, and even some that are not horizontal or vertical. Perhaps a line that is follows the rule of x equals y. All x values equal all y values. So it would make a diagonal line like this, or let me go back to that view. That's a nicer view. Okay. Or y equals -x, which would be a diagonal down to the right type of line. So we'll see what we can do with that. Okay. I'm going to go ahead and stop the video, and I hope that was helpful.